Welcome back, everyone, to Prevent-A-Thon, charity speedrunning marathon in support of Little Warriors, national charitable organisation focused on the awareness, prevention and treatment of child sexual abuse. Also advocate on behalf of and with child sexual abuse survivors. For more information, visit littlewarriors.ca. And we are ready with Hervorius for the next run of Monkey Island 2, LeChuck's Revenge. Go when you're ready, Hervorius.
Oh, hey. I didn't know what was going on. Sorry. This is Havorius. I am playing Monkey Island 2, and with me I've got my commentator, thewoofs, who you might remember from this morning's full throttle run with Grubby D.
Good to be back. Thank you for having me. More point-and-click madness. I love it.
All right. So time starts when I click this little box, and then time ends when we hit our last input, which is yes, mom, right at the very end. So I can count us in, but 1 second. So, all right. So in 3, 2, 1, and time starts now.
Good luck.
All right. Come on, Wally. There we go.
So this is Monkey Island 2. This is a point-and-click adventure from the early 90s where we're playing as Guybrush Threepwood, coming off of our hot escapades of the very first game, The Secret of Monkey Island. So at the end of that game, we defeat the evil ghost pirate LeChuck, and we're kind of just living fabulously off of kind of I don't know, telling the story to people and kind of being the hero. But everyone's getting really, really sick of us telling the same story over and over and over again. So, yeah, the idea of this, I guess, of this particular game is to go through and try to find the super secret treasure of Big Whoop. And that's kind of our new thing because we obviously need a new story to tell. So that's kind of what we're doing. In this first section, the whole idea is for us to basically get off of Scab Island, which you see right here. Scab Island is one of 3 islands on kind of the main part of this game. Where, yeah, basically we're looking for basically 4 pieces of a map that will reveal the location of Big Whoop. Unfortunately, we can't get off of Scab Island until we deal with Largo Legrand, who's kind of our current, I don't know, kind of a mini-boss, if you will, as far as point-and-click adventure mini-bosses go. So we're going to be assembling a voodoo doll as to sort of deal with that. Additionally, we need to grab a boat to be able to travel around the islands and stuff, and then a little bit of money as well, because we're going to need that to kind of facilitate our piratey endeavors here.
I've always wondered how we got onto the island in the first place. If we can't,
that is true. I guess that's not really. We're not really. It's not explained too much, is it? I don't know, chat. Keep me honest here, but yeah, you're right. We kind of just roll up here, and we're just kind of telling a story on the beach. I do love that little scene. It's got a good visual and some good music, and it kind of sets the scene nicely. But yeah, I don't know why. That's a great question. But speaking of music, it's probably worth calling out now that we are playing without any of the native music or sound on this game, and that's because the game runs significantly faster with everything turned off, which is a shame because it has a great soundtrack. I think we can all agree that Monkey Island has some iconic music. But because of the iMuse system, which was kind of a new thing when this game came out, which is sort of like what syncs your I don't know, basically like the things that are happening on screen to the music that you're listening to. Like this whole area in Woodtick has a theme, and then as you enter different buildings, it changes a little bit, kind of its variation, a different kind of arrangement for it. And it's really, really cool casually. But the other half of this thing is that a lot of the sound effects and things that you see on the screen are also kind of part of the score. So by turning it off, it actually eliminates the need for the game basically to wait for the sound effect to be played to skip through a cutscene or something like that. So, yeah, it ends up, adding maybe like 15, 20 seconds onto the whole run here. So, when you're trying to go for fast times, we turn the sound off, and it's kind of, we don't really sit in quiet, I would say. Many of us still listen to Monkey Island music on the side, but
yeah, I'll be sitting here humming along to all the themes as we go around to make up for the lack of music.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, play us in there. Yeah. It is a bit of a shame. It's kind of one of these moments where it's like it's a fairly big sacrifice for speed, but it must be done. It must be done. So this is one of the more difficult conversations and dialogue trees to get through in the game here. This one, and the bartender, is the one that I would also nominate, but Havorius does that very smoothly there. So the thing to kind of call out is that some, based on when you're in a dialogue, parts of it are considered cutscenes and other parts are not. So what we're doing there is we're basically answering, we're giving a dialogue option to the voodoo lady. We're taking one line of dialogue from her, and then we are doing a cutscene skip, which drives us right to the next possible, I guess, like dialogue option to take. And so it's kind of a very tight window to kind of make that work really, really fluidly. I always describe this as sort of like playing a piano. Like you kind of want to have the right rhythm and phrasing to the whole thing, and that's sort of how you get through that section quick. But yeah, obviously dialogue's pretty big part of the run, since it's a point and click adventure. Like anything that's sort of a narrative style game, that's where a lot of where the tech lies. But
yeah, speaking of the dialogue, this is my least favorite of the bartender dialogues. Just it's not very long. I just don't know it that well. I don't know where the know where the cuts happen.
Yeah, this is a sneaky one. This one. Yeah, you can get them pretty early, but I think from my last little bit through here, it was because I was running this game a couple weeks ago, and I'm like taking a small break from it now. It's because like sometimes there are dialogues that have a little bit of breathing room afterwards, so it's like even though the line of text is gone, you actually can't skip quite yet, so you have to like kind of take a beat and do it. And that's yet another reason why this game can be quite challenging to run. It's consistent at least, but it's like figuring those little bits out is can be quite tricky.
And then the other big issue is like all the little pieces of RNG that we have to deal with, a couple of which we've already passed by.
Yeah. There is a healthy amount of RNG in this game. I don't feel like anything is completely run crippling. I mean, they stack up, of course, but yeah, I mean, we had the Wally monocle drop right at the beginning. That's one of our items, key items to get out of this area here. You'll see that Havorius is going to hand this over to Captain Dread now. But yeah, that's on a kind of a 10-second window where he can give it to you on second 1, or he can give it to you on second 10. So that's a pretty big chunk to just tack on. Thankfully, that one's right at the beginning. So if you're pretty serious about that whole deal, you can reset and it's not too bad. But As you alluded to, Havorius, there's a lot more RNG kind of like that, and a lot of it is a little bit more punishing later in the run. So hopefully we'll get some good stuff going here. So yeah, a little bit of a lore update since we are now out of Scab Island. We've made it over to Fat Island, and we actually, by doing that, open up free travel between this island, Booty Island, and we can also go back to Scab Island, and we'll be making the rounds here very soon. So our quest kind of right now is to collect these 4 map pieces that I was talking about before. So we're going to do this classic puzzle here with the gambling bit here. So Havorius is going to quickly enable his eagle eyes to get through that puzzle nice and quick. That's a fun one to do. It is RNG as well. It's right different every time.
So I think I looked at the wrong thing. Doing the wrong thing. There we go.
There we go.
And for those eagle-eyed, it was 10 black was my
and black was good my number.
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah, that number changes every time, as do the hand signals there. So you do have to kind of be dialed in for it. We were just looking at the library, kind of like the I guess the index cards there. That I always like to call out when I can that is like the main difference if you're playing in a different language. It's no faster, I don't think, to play in any other language than say they're all equal to to each other. But the one big change is that obviously each book starts with a different letter or character. So I guess like what you'll click on during that section will vary based on the language you're in, which is kind of interesting. But this is going to wrap up our trip to Booty Island, or excuse me, Fat Island, and we are going to go to Booty Island. Just a quick shopping trip here. It's a pretty challenging dialogue as well, because you do need to do some reaching with your mouse hand in addition to the cutscene skips and stuff.
Yeah, I thought I was on the right dialogue, but apparently I just missed it.
I've been there, my friend.
So Guybrush is kind of a pretty bad guy in this game. And we've already gotten somebody fired quickly, which you might have missed, but now we're going to cut off somebody's peg leg. And this still isn't even the worst thing we do in this game.
That's a great point. I guess it's easy to forget maybe that Guybrush truly is a pirate, and he is going to do some piratey things in here. But yeah, that is one thing as I've gotten older playing this game, I've realized, like, oh wow, are we the bad guys here? Like, this is it's a little crazy for a while.
Now, this is probably the most tricky bartender.
Here. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, this is the one I was alluding to before. This is a pretty tough dialogue here. And this pesky metronome as well. I think most of us runners have come to hate that. But the hitbox is just a little bit wonky. It's like just too small, and it's easy to overshoot it because it's pretty far away from the banana. But all good there, looking good. So the whole idea of that section was to get this green drink from the bartender, and of course pick up Jojo, the piano-playing monkey here, which I'm sure for our European-based viewers here, if you've played this game, that's probably your least favorite puzzle. But we'll talk about that when we get there. That's a quick little glitch that we're taking advantage of there as well. By clicking on Dread Ship and then turning around and going right back to Woodtick, you'll still end up back at Dread Ship. We call that Dread Warp. Yeah, it saves a couple seconds of time, so you don't have to walk all the way out to the ship. It only works in that particular direction. You can't click on it and go to any other kind of hotspot on the map, but that is a nice, quick little glitch there.
I have made the mistake of doing Dread Warp after getting the final map piece, and that's kind of annoying.
Oh, yeah, you do have to be careful. I have done that before as well. You have to kind of do this big song and dance to get back to where you got to go. So this is another huge RNG section here. This is the spitting contest. We need to wait for the wind to blow, and this looks like it might be lousy RNG. I'm sorry to say, Havorius.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Kind of as you were heading back there. So this is on another kind of random cycle where it can, I think, be between like second 1 and second 12. I think is the last I heard of this. So you can again lose a pretty huge chunk here depending on what you end up getting. But yeah, I mean, still well executed. That section gets a little bit not technical, but it's a little bit busy with inputs. So as long as you're kind of keeping your head straight on that. So here's one of our map pieces. Unfortunately, it's not going to be as easy as just grabbing it. So here's a lane from The Secret of Monkey Island. And we'll go and try to pick up that map piece again. We're going to see a couple cool glitches here.
Hopefully.
So Havorius is going to try to do an item slide here. This is a really cool piece of tech that saves a few seconds. And more importantly, it looks very, very cool. Also, we've just had a massive sequence break that I'll try to catch us up with shortly. But let's see if we can get this item slide here.
We got it.
Here we go. All right, a little bit of that. Very nice. Every good game, particularly a Monkey Island game, needs a big slide here. Okay, so let me catch us up with the glitch here. Well, I say glitch. It's more of a sequence break that's related to the version we're playing. So we're playing the FM Towns version of this game. Actually, geez, we're stacking up glitches here. So you're also seeing that he's climbing the tree without actually needing the oars here. And you'll see that Havorius will warp up to the top. This is kind of a cool, I don't know, Guybrush is a Jedi trick where we're able to kind of climb the tree and get the map piece here without even needing to break the ore. Normally you break the ore, you need to go back to Scab Island and get it fixed by the carpenter there. But yeah, Havorius very skillfully climbs up to the top. Yeah. All right, to go back, obviously we found the map piece up there. If you've played this game casually, you know that you actually need to go behind the mansion to get a fish. You might remember the chef yelling at you nonstop. In addition to that, we need to trade that fish for a fishing pole, and then we need to go down to a cliff down in the south of this particular island and do that whole thing, and then we finally are able to go up the tree. In this version of the game, in FM Towns, they ran out of room effectively. It was kind of too technically difficult for FM Towns to handle, so they just cut that section of the game off. So the map, should we have let the cutscene play out, it would go down to the cliff and then back up directly to the tree, and that way they were able to kind of make it work. Really interesting kind of I don't know, kind of story behind that whole thing. There was a big kind of chasing of details on that that happened. I mean, gosh, it must have been a year or two ago now. But I mean, that took minutes off of the time, obviously, taking out a number of puzzles. So it's a pretty cool thing to show off here. And you may have noticed that we're running this game, and you look at the verbs, they're kind of in this nice, like, kind of golden brown color, as opposed to what I certainly was used to, which is that like nice purple. But that's attributed to this FM Towns thing. That section with the parrot can be a bit annoying. You have to wait for the parrot to completely stop moving before you can actually pick up the mirror. The shopkeeper will just kind of like just say he wants it there, even though it doesn't matter.
It's a good schmovement time.
Oh, nice. Yeah, worth kind of talking about that. Do you want me to tell them about schmovement?
Yeah, what I I could, whatever you want to talk about.
Cool. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. So Schmovement's a brand new piece of tech that we have found in this game. And then shouts out to Mike the viewer who kind of made the initial discovery, and then a lot of folks in the community kind of have since dug in. But effectively, you'll see that Havorius is basically clicking on and off hotspots at certain times of the game. So one thing that Monkey Island and all of these kind of scum point and click adventures do is they try to create a 3D space despite it being a 2D kind of pixel animated scene, and to kind of create the perspective that we are operating in a 3D space. As Guybrush moves away from the camera, he gets smaller and slows down. So what was found was that by doing this kind of like clicking on and off, I don't know, kind of movement here and like kind of combined with those inputs, Guybrush will maintain what we'd like to call big Guybrush speed. And we'll never slow down as we move into the background, and that can save like many seconds on each kind of screen where it's applicable. What's odd though is it only seems to work when we're moving to the left and when we're moving backwards. If you try moving it when we're coming down or to the right, we'll actually lose time as opposed to just kind of clicking on our destination, which is quite fascinating. But it's been kind of seen and tested pretty extensively in Monkey Island 2, but there have been some other applications of it found kind of lightly on Monkey Island 1, as well as Sam and Max Hit the Road. So it's kind of interesting. It's still, again, kind of early days for that particular glitch, but really cool stuff to see, something that's more, I guess, like scum based as opposed to an individual game thing. It's kind of an interesting interesting development, wouldn't you say? Something you wouldn't expect.
It certainly took me off guard when people started talking about it, and then incorporating it into the run. It's like, oh god, there's more to do now.
Yeah.
One good thing that happened while we were talking about Schmovement, though, is that I got a Coffin 1.
Nice. Yeah, that's best RNG there. So that's making up for the spit, certainly. Basically there's 5 coffins coming up. We'll point them out when we get there in this next section. But it is RNG basically which coffin Rapscallion's been buried in, and that's kind of the location of our final map piece. And this is important mainly because we have to travel in and out of this crypt 3 times. So you're seeing Havorius grab the one there on the far left. That's the one closest to the stairs, which is why it's the fastest option. Good RNG. But you can see that like out on the far right, that's Coffin 5. We have to do the trip 3 times, so that ends up losing something like 15 seconds, like compared to, say, Coffin 1. This is like very favorable RNG. So good to have on a marathon. Nice.
And another slow coffin ride. So in a previous version that we used to run, not me actually, because I came in after that, but Amiga, the coffin ride is like Guybrush is some sort of Olympic rower, moves at the speed of light.
Yeah, Amiga.
Whereas here,
on the Amiga version, that is cooking. Yeah, you're not wrong.
Murph, I don't know if there's any announcements, but now there's a lot of back and forth in this section, so now's a good time for announcements before we get into the end game of the run, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys might have noticed that we've got our fabulous Monkey Island 2 run a little earlier than was previously scheduled. We had to do a little bit of shuffling, but I have some fantastic news. The Xenoblade Chronicles 3 run that we unfortunately had to skip over earlier, we're slotting it right back in straight after this run. So if you guys were hyped for the Arch Nopon's challenge gauntlet. That is going to be happening directly after the Monkey Island 2 run. And then after that, we will be continuing with an Untitled Story randomizer. So, heck yeah, keep those donations coming in for all these fantastic games. We've already raised 400 Canadian dollars for Little Warriors of our marathon goal of $1,000, which is absolutely fantastic. You're all doing great, but let's keep that momentum going as we move into this final stretch of the marathon. And just to remind you, Little Warriors is a national charitable organization focused on the awareness, prevention, and treatment of child sexual abuse, who also advocate on behalf of and with child sexual abuse survivors. They have a number of fantastic programs, including specialized intensive treatment program for children and teens who've been sexually abused at the Little Warriors Be Brave Ranch. They have online comprehensive Be Brave Bridge program that connects specialized counselors and coaches with children, teens, and parents who have been impacted by child sexual abuse. And coming soon, they have adults who are sexually abused as children. Those people will finally have a place to receive intensive treatment at our Lighthouse, an intensive adult treatment center. For more information on those programs and all the other fantastic things that Little Warriors do, check out littlewarriors.ca. And I was saying that we bumped up to 401 Canadian dollars. Fantastic. Havorius, back over to you.
Thank you, Murph. I will say, just before I get into this end game, I'm happy that this marathon is supporting a Canadian organization. I am Canadian. I live in Canada. So that's exciting for me to be able to support something like that. Leg, rib, head, arm.
So I'll let Havorius think here. This is a kind of a big brain puzzle that's happening here. We've looked at the back of this piece of paper here, which gives us a list of bones. Havorius is going to try to remember the order of each of these bones as to go through this puzzle and basically move the doors that we need to. There's 4 doors. Super smooth there. Good job. But yeah, basically there's, I think, 8 total possibilities, like 8 kind of patterns that can appear. So you can kind of identify them and kind of check them off of the list the more you do this. But if you're like me, and maybe you are, Havorius, I just try to memorize it real quick and just wing it.
That's what I do. Yeah. I haven't even remembered the thing so much. Once in a while, I remember that the thing is a thing.
That's about the only one I can remember, because once I figured out that was a thing, I got so hyped. So the thing for folks, because of course I don't know who knows what the thing is. It has got a great name though. But it's the one time where we take the pathway to the right as opposed to the left. So that first room is always the same. The 3 doors are going to be identical to each other. So if we can identify that it's the leftmost door, if we go take the right path, we'll end up on the left side of that room as opposed to the right side. We call that the thing. Yeah, it's a very exciting time when when the thing happens. It's the small things, you know. All right, we found ourselves on Dinky Island, just to get everyone up to date on this. We got our map pieces. We were captured by LeChuck, but we have escaped. And now Havorius is working through Dinky Island, which is where conveniently Big Whoop is supposed to be located. So we're doing some moving around the jungle here. This is a particularly hard part, in my opinion, of this speed run. It's the windows are very small, and there's a lot of operations to do, a lot of things to point and or click on, and rapid fire and there's some, I don't know, some tricky stuff that can happen here, I would say. I always like to say, if you want to make sure your Dinky Island remains a Dinky Island and not a Stinky Island, because it can get out of hand pretty quick. But this has been quite good. There's a few different ways you can approach this, by the way. Every time that you get you hand a cracker over to the parrot, you get, you're able to advance one more kind of section of this. The way that we do it on the any percent run is as Havorius has done here: 1 on the beach and then 2 on the dinosaur. For the light percent run, we kind of do 1 on the beach, and then, or what is it? 2 on the beach and 1 on the rock at the very end. And that's just to save time on animations with the parrot coming in and out. So it's kind of an interesting variation of these things. Kind of saves maybe a second or something, but these are the things you have to look out for, right? But we're about to enter. We've been talking about RNG a little bit, Havorius. This is where the RNG comes in here. These are where your runs can live or they can die. I think right in this section here, and this is the tunnels here. So chap, do give all your good vibes to Havorius here, because LeChuck holds the keys on the run now, and we're gonna do as much as we can to keep it going fast, but. I don't know. This is where the marbles matter here.
This is the only part of the run where we use quick saves to kind of manipulate RNG as best we can. Everything else we just kind of deal with, but this one can get so bad so quick.
Yeah, it can get out of hand real quick. And it's not like we can control anything, but yeah, manipulate's a good word, because effectively we can kind of re-roll the dice. So yeah, real quick overview of how this works. This is a series of 5 rooms, each with a couple rooms attached to them. As you can see, we're going back into the box room. This is good RNG. We want either box room or first aid room first. So we managed to get that. And that is why you click save right there. Nice, good save. So anytime we run into LeChuck will warp us somewhere else. There's a few points where we do want to run into LeChuck, but that particular spot was a bit too early. But this is a really cool puzzle in that we are kind of running back the very first thing we did in the game, which was to build a voodoo doll. And we're going to do that just instead of against Largo, we're going to do it against LeChuck. By the way, LeChuck is back. We kind of breezed over that because we're going too fast. But LeChuck's now just a zombie pirate instead. I think this is my favorite version of LeChuck, by the way. I think I'm pro zombie pirate. I like the ghost pirate one as well. But I don't know. How do you feel about
that? So there's a thing with people who play Monkey Island, and their favorite one generally being the first one they played, and that's definitely true for me. And so I think this is my favorite LeChuck, because it's all like Monkey Island 2 is my first Monkey Island game. This LeChuck, Zombie Pirate LeChuck, is my first LeChuck.
There we go. Zombie Pirate, best pirate.
Chime in with perhaps a controversial opinion and say that although Monkey Island 3 LeChuck is fantastic, my favorite is probably Charles L. Charles from Escape from Monkey Island. Just a fantastic performance in that game.
That is a great one. That's the underrated one there, the underdog for sure. And the nice part about that is you get a little bit of all of the LeChucks in that one, because you can kind of shapeshift in that. So you you get your favorite in there. So we're doing something very technical right now, by the way.
I messed up.
Oh, dang. Well, so yeah, the reason that we're trying to end over here, we're basically about done with the elevator. Well, the elevator, the voodoo doll, but we're trying to get this set in the elevator because the animation of doing the voodoo doll stabbing and creation is much faster here, because I don't think that Ron Gilbert and the team expected you to do it inside that space. You're supposed to do it out here where Havorius is doing it now.
I will say that I messed up and then got
you'll save
very
some
lucky
time.
with LeChuck.
Yeah, this happened on one of your practice runs, I think, yesterday as well. Very favorable luck. Because sometimes when you get when you miss that moment in the elevator, it can take ages for LeChuck to appear. So that was really, really favorable. And we're pretty much in the end game here, Havorius. You did really well. That was a really good
got 6 more
marathon
inputs.
LeChuck.
6 more inputs. All right.
This is another really time-sensitive dialogue here. Yeah, here we go.
There we go. Time was at Yes Mom, which we might have missed because I did quickly. But that's Monkey Island 2, the speed run. It's super fun, and I encourage anyone who is interested, likes point-and-click adventure games, has good memories of any point-and-click adventure games, we have a community called the Speedy Adventures Speedrunners. We have a Discord channel. There's a Twitch channel that occasionally gets used. If you want to talk about all things point-and-click adventure speed racing, Speedy Adventures is the place to be. LucasArts games, Sierra games, AGS games, everything else. I can't even think of them all.
There are certainly a lot of point and clicks out there. Yeah, anyone's welcome to join that for sure.
So that's the run, and thank you very much, the Woofs, for joining me on commentary. That was great, giving that excellent overview. Myrph, thanks for hosting, and thank you, Prevent-A-Thon, for having Monkey Island in your marathon.
It's an absolute pleasure, Havorius. Thank you for that incredible run. And before we wrap up on the run, we have had a couple of donations. An anonymous $1 donation that says, thanks for all you're doing. Great job on the run so far. $1 donation train for Little Warriors chat. And then we have an anonymous $2 donation. Fantastic charity, fantastic game. Donating Monkey Island $2. Thank you to you both. Thank you, Havorius.
Thank you so much.
We're going to head off onto a quick intermission while we set up ready for the bonus Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Xenoblade something run.